For months, I thought I was helping my mom. Every trip to the grocery store, I'd pass by the regular cheese and proudly grab the fat-free version. I felt like a good son, making healthier choices, cutting calories, keeping her strong. But then one day, sitting across from her doctor, I was told something that stopped me cold. The very thing you've been giving her, it's destroying her muscles. Let that sink in for a second. The food I thought was protecting her was actually stealing her strength. I watched her struggle to get up from a chair, move slower every week, grip my arm just to climb a few steps. And all the while, I thought I was doing the right thing. Maybe you felt that same pride when you swapped something lighter or healthier into your parents' diet, believing you were helping. But what if, without realizing it, you were making things worse? If your parent is over 60, this could be their story. Because here's the truth most families don't want to hear: what we think is safe, what we think is smart, can quietly rob the people we love of the very thing that keeps them independent, their muscle. And when muscle strength goes, everything else follows. Walking, balance, energy, freedom, even dignity. Now ask yourself, how would you feel if years from now you looked back and realized the small choices you made in the kitchen were the very reason your mom or dad lost their independence? What you think is helping may actually be harming. But here's the twist: there is a simple food swap that changes everything. It's not exotic. It's not expensive. In fact, it's sitting in almost every grocery store, but nearly every family overlooks it. And I'll reveal it in this video. So, before we go any further, I want you to be honest with yourself. If you walk away now, if you decide not to subscribe to Golden Era Senior Health, and later realize this video could have saved your parents' independence, what excuse will you give yourself? Because once strength is gone, you can't just wish it back. The window closes. The chance disappears. This isn't about another diet trend or a new superfood. This is about giving your parent the chance to stand on their own 2 feet tomorrow, next year, 5 years from now. And that chance starts with what's on their plate today. Each week, I noticed the little changes. At first, it was small. My mom would pause before standing up, press her hands against her knees, and slowly push herself out of the chair. I thought it was just age catching up. At family dinners, she started leaving food on her plate, saying she wasn't as hungry anymore. When she helped in the kitchen, she leaned against the counter more often, catching her breath. But then it escalated. She began avoiding the stairs, asking me to grab things from upstairs instead. When we walked into the grocery store, she held on to the cart more tightly, not for convenience, but for balance. And the worst was the night she nearly fell trying to step into the bathtub. I remember snapping at her, frustrated, saying, "You have to be more careful." She looked at me with tired eyes and whispered, "I'm trying." That moment still breaks me. It all came to a head at the doctor's office. He looked over her chart, examined her, and then leaned back in his chair. His words hit like a hammer: "She's losing muscle mass faster than normal. Her diet is quietly stealing her strength." I couldn't believe it. All those so-called healthy choices, the fat-free products, the lighter meals, they weren't protecting her at all. They were stripping away the very nutrients her body needed most. Protein, calcium, vitamin K2, the essentials for muscle and bone health, were missing from her plate. And because I didn't know better, I was the one leaving them out. Now imagine hearing that about your own mom or dad. What would you do if your parents' doctor said their diet, the food you proudly brought home, was quietly stealing their independence? That day, I learned a hard truth. The solution wasn't in another pill bottle. It wasn't in the supplements lined up on the pharmacy shelf. It was something simple, something familiar, sitting in the fridge of almost every home. But until someone pointed it out, I had completely overlooked it. I remember meeting a retired teacher not long after that. She had been through the same struggle: fatigue, weakness, the fear of losing control over her own life. She said she was embarrassed when her granddaughter had to help her up from the couch. But after a small, specific change to her daily meals, she began to feel stronger again. Within months, she was back to gardening in her backyard, something she thought she had lost forever. If you believe your parents deserve that same dignity, the ability to stand, to walk, to live without fear, then prove it. Subscribe to Golden Era Senior Health right now. If not, then drop a comment below and explain why their independence isn't worth a click. Picture a breakfast table. The sun is shining through the blinds, a plate of toast sits in front of your parent, and beside it, a tiny serving of fat-free cheese or maybe just a cup of coffee. It looks light, it looks healthy, but what you can't see is what's happening inside their body. Every morning that goes by without enough protein, without the right nutrients, is like making a silent withdrawal from their muscle bank. Now picture the grocery store aisle. Bright packaging, labels screaming, low-fat, fat-free, light. You grab them thinking you're protecting your loved one. But what you're actually doing is leaving their muscles empty. You're filling the cart, but you're not depositing into their strength. And then picture the exercise class at the local senior center. Some people are moving with energy, able to sit and stand without help, able to stretch and lift. Others struggle, their legs shaking, their arms weak. The difference isn't just exercise. It's what they eat, day after day, meal after meal. Here's the biology made simple. After age 60, something called sarcopenia begins to accelerate. Sarcopenia is just the medical word for muscle loss. It's like a slow leak in a tire, barely noticeable at first, but over time, the tire collapses. By the time you realize how bad it's gotten, the damage feels overwhelming. Think of your muscles as a bank account. Every step you take, every chore you do, every time you stand up, you're making a withdrawal. That's normal, we use muscles every day. But here's the catch, if you're not making deposits through protein and nutrient-rich foods, that account empties. And unlike money, once it's gone, you can't just work overtime to earn it back. The loss is permanent. There is no perfect fix for aging. Wrinkles come, hair turns gray, energy shifts. But muscle loss doesn't have to mean the end of independence. Diet can slow decline. Diet can preserve strength. Diet can mean the difference between standing on your own or depending on someone else. I think of an older man I met in Canada. His name isn't important, what matters is his story. He struggled with something called the chair stand test. That's when you try to sit and stand from a chair multiple times in a row without using your arms. He could barely manage one or two. His doctor suggested a simple change, one adjustment in what he ate each morning. Within months, he was doing the chair stand test with confidence, 5 times, then 10. His life didn't just improve, it transformed. Now I want you to sit with this question. If you'd rather scroll past than protect the person who raised you, then comment why below. Because ignoring this isn't just casual. It's a choice with consequences. These habits are quietly stealing strength after 60. Let me lay them out. The first mistake, choosing fat-free cheese. It sounds good, it looks responsible, but here's the truth, it's stripped of the very protein and nutrients that protect muscle. The second mistake, relying on supplements but skipping whole foods. Pills are easy, bottles are convenient, but nothing replaces the balance of nutrients that real food provides. Relying only on supplements is like patching a roof with tape, it won't hold when the storm comes. The third mistake, eating cheese without balancing calcium with vitamin D. Calcium alone doesn't do the job. Without vitamin D, calcium can't reach the bones where it's needed. It's like buying a car without the keys, the potential is there, but it doesn't move. And the fourth mistake, a so-called healthy yogurt habit. Yes, yogurt has benefits, but many popular brands are loaded with sugar. Sugar that eats away at health while you think you're doing good. That daily cup could be doing more damage than dessert. I'm reminded of a grandmother in the UK. She was devoted to low-fat everything. She avoided cheese, she avoided full-fat yogurt, she avoided what she thought were dangers. But all the while, she was weakening. When she finally ditched the low-fat traps and returned to foods that actually nourished her body, her strength came back. Not overnight, but slowly, consistently, until one day she realized she could climb the stairs again without stopping. If you're still not subscribed, ask yourself this: are you really okay letting your parents make these same mistakes every single day while you stay silent? Because silence here isn't neutral. Silence is costly. Now let's get to the heart of it. The 3 cheeses seniors should add to rebuild muscle, strengthen bones, and even support collagen. This is the core payoff. The simple shift that can make a powerful difference. The first is cottage cheese. Don't let its plain appearance fool you. Cottage cheese is one of the most protein-packed foods you can put on the table, and it's easy to digest, which is important as digestion often slows with age. What makes it special for seniors is the combination of leucine and casein. Leucine is the spark that tells the body to build muscle, and casein is a slow-digesting protein that continues to feed muscles long after a meal. That's why cottage cheese before bed is one of the best choices for nighttime recovery. Muscles don't stop needing fuel when you're asleep, and this gives them a steady supply. Pair it with fruit for taste and a dose of antioxidants. The only caution here is sodium. Some brands pack more than others, so read the label carefully. The second is Parmesan. Hard, aged, and often grated on top of pasta, Parmesan isn't just about flavor. It's dense with calcium, which bones desperately need after 60. But there's more. When Parmesan is aged, it develops unique peptides that have been shown in studies to support bone metabolism. That means it doesn't just sit in the body, it actively helps the bones use calcium more effectively. And because Parmesan is so concentrated, even a small sprinkle carries a big payoff. The caution, again, is salt. Seniors with blood pressure issues should keep portions modest, but the benefits can't be ignored. The third is Swiss cheese. This one is an underrated gem. It carries protein, yes, but it also provides vitamin K2. And K2 is critical because it helps guide calcium into the bones where it belongs, rather than letting it build up in arteries. Think about that, a nutrient that protects both bone and heart health in one slice. Swiss cheese pairs easily with sandwiches, melts nicely, and doesn't overwhelm with flavor. For those who are lactose intolerant, caution is needed, though Swiss tends to be easier on digestion than many other cheeses. I think of an older woman I met in Australia who made this exact shift. She had always loved gardening, but over the years, she lost the strength to carry watering cans or kneel down to pull weeds. It broke her heart to watch the garden she once nurtured grow wild without her care. Her daughter encouraged her to try adding these 3 cheeses consistently: cottage cheese in the evening, a sprinkle of Parmesan on her soups, and slices of Swiss with her lunch. Within months, her energy was back. She wasn't running marathons, but she was back among her roses, pruning and planting, hands in the soil, smiling again. That joy, that independence, returned with something as simple as a shift in her diet. Now, let me ask you. If this feels valuable, if you can see how much difference it could make for your parent or grandparent, but you still refuse to subscribe to Golden Era Senior Health, then comment below and explain why your parents' health doesn't deserve it. Because to walk away now is to say their future isn't worth your attention. So how do you take these 3 cheeses and make them part of daily life without confusion, without extra stress, and without spending more than you can afford? The answer is in small, simple steps. Start with breakfast. Imagine a bowl of fresh berries, blueberries, strawberries, or raspberries, and instead of topping them with cream or nothing at all, you add 2 or 3 spoonfuls of cottage cheese. It's light, refreshing, and it feels more like a treat than a chore. That small change alone deposits protein into the muscle bank before the day has even begun. Then think about lunch. A sandwich is one of the easiest meals for anyone over 60 to prepare. Add a slice of Swiss cheese to whole grain bread with lean turkey or chicken, and suddenly you've not only added protein but also vitamin K2, the nutrient that directs calcium where it belongs. It doesn't require any new recipe, just a simple addition to something most people already enjoy. At dinner, take a pot of soup or a fresh salad and sprinkle a spoonful of Parmesan on top. It melts into soup with rich flavor, or it adds a nutty kick to leafy greens. In that one move, you've added calcium and bone-strengthening peptides without creating a new dish or spending hours in the kitchen. For many families in the US, Canada, the UK, or Australia, the concern is cost. But here's the good news: cottage cheese is one of the most budget-friendly protein sources in the dairy aisle. Parmesan, though it may seem expensive, lasts a long time because a little goes such a long way. And Swiss cheese is widely available in affordable packs at most grocery stores. You don't need fancy imported brands, you just need consistency. I think of a widowed man in the US who shared his story. After his wife passed, he stopped cooking full meals and settled into simple but unbalanced eating habits. Over time, his body weakened, and he feared becoming dependent on his children. With some guidance, he began building a new routine around these 3 cheeses. Cottage cheese with peaches in the morning. A Swiss slice tucked into a sandwich at lunch. Parmesan sprinkled over his vegetable soup at dinner. It was nothing complicated, nothing gourmet. But within months, he noticed changes. He could mow his own lawn again. He could carry his groceries without struggling. Most of all, he felt proud that he was still independent, still able to take care of himself. That pride mattered as much as the strength. It doesn't take a radical lifestyle overhaul. It doesn't require expensive supplements or complicated meal plans. It takes commitment to these small, steady steps. And if your parent or grandparent can build this into their daily rhythm, they are building a safety net for their independence. Adding the right cheeses is powerful, but they work best when paired with a handful of supporting habits. These are the quiet anchors of daily life, the things that don't make headlines but make all the difference in how the body holds up after 60. The first is hydration. Muscles and bones cannot perform without water. Dehydration makes muscles stiff, slows recovery, and even increases the risk of falls. A simple water bottle within reach throughout the day can change everything. Some seniors forget to drink because thirst signals weaken with age, but a small sip every hour keeps the body ready to move. Imagine your parent carrying a lightweight bottle as a reminder, not just for comfort but for strength. The second is sunlight. 10 to 15 minutes of gentle morning or late afternoon sun helps the body produce vitamin D, the key partner that makes calcium from cheese usable. Without it, calcium has nowhere to go. A short walk outside, sitting on the porch, or even tending a small garden can supply this natural boost. It's free medicine from the sky, and yet so many overlook it. The third is posture and balance. After 60, one of the biggest risks is falling. Gentle exercises, standing tall against a wall, practicing slow heel-to-toe walks across the living room, or even rising from a chair without using the hands, build the muscles that keep balance steady. These don't require a gym, just intention and a few minutes each day. When paired with protein from foods like cottage cheese or Swiss, the effect compounds. Muscles not only grow stronger but also coordinate better, keeping the body upright and safe. The fourth is sleep hygiene. Sleep isn't just rest, it's repair. Muscles rebuild at night, bones strengthen, and the brain resets. For many older adults, sleep becomes fragmented, broken by worry or late-night habits. A simple wind-down routine, dimming the lights, turning off the television, sipping warm herbal tea, and heading to bed at the same hour each night, signals the body to recover. When paired with cottage cheese before bed, the body has the fuel and the time to restore itself. I think of a grandmother in Canada who shared her story. She had been exhausted for months, blaming it on age. She struggled through the day, often dozing off in her chair. Then she committed to 2 changes, a better bedtime routine and a bowl of cottage cheese before sleep. Within weeks, her mornings felt different. She woke with energy, walked with steadiness, and even joined her neighbors for a daily stroll. She told me she felt young enough to keep up with her grandkids again. These habits aren't flashy, but together they form a foundation. Hydration keeps muscles flexible. Sunlight powers bones. Balance exercises protect from falls. Sleep repairs the body. And when you weave them into daily life alongside the right foods, you create not just health but resilience. Building strength after 60 isn't about quick fixes, it's about a long-term plan and steady tracking. Without measuring, progress gets lost in the blur of daily life. That's why the first tool is a simple journal. Writing down meals, noting energy levels, even marking how easy or hard it felt to rise from a chair gives a clear picture over time. What feels invisible in a single week becomes undeniable across a month. The second tool is the chair stand test. It doesn't need fancy equipment. Just a sturdy chair and a timer. Count how many times your parent can rise and sit without using their arms in 30 seconds. At first, the number might be small, but with consistent effort and the right nutrition, that number climbs. Each improvement is more than a statistic, it's a step back toward independence. Weekly check-ins matter too. Choose a consistent day and time, like Sunday afternoons, and use it to look back. Did they eat their cottage cheese at night? Did they spend time outdoors for sunlight? Did they drink enough water? These small reviews keep progress on track and help catch setbacks before they grow into problems. And never forget the doctor. As diets shift, medications and health conditions must be considered. Regular appointments allow professionals to adjust intake, monitor blood pressure, and ensure safety. Adding foods like Parmesan or Swiss should always be balanced against individual needs. This partnership between daily habits at home and medical oversight is what makes the plan safe and sustainable. Here's the payoff, the mystery that keeps so many surprised. Strength regained isn't about going back decades. No one is promising 20-year-old muscles. What it's about is tomorrow's independence. Being able to carry laundry. Being able to walk to the store. Being able to bend, lift, and move without fear. Those are the victories that matter. I remember a couple in the UK who had always loved hiking but had given it up. Weakness made the trails feel impossible. They accepted that part of life was over. But after months of steady change, adding the right cheeses, walking daily, practicing balance, something shifted. On their anniversary, they celebrated by walking a trail they hadn't touched in years. It wasn't fast, it wasn't easy, but it was theirs. And they held hands the whole way, proud of the journey back. Now take a step back and look at the contrast. On one side, there is independence. Walking confidently. Traveling. Laughing with grandchildren. Having the energy to live, not just exist. On the other side, there is decline. Struggling to rise from a chair. Depending on others for the simplest tasks. Watching life narrow until every day feels the same. I can't help but think of one man who waited too long. He ignored the warnings, put off the changes, told himself he would get to it later. By the time he acted, the weakness had taken hold. He told me with tears in his eyes, if I had started sooner, I might still be walking on my own today. That regret is heavy. It's the weight of lost time. So let me be direct. If you love them enough to want the first future, subscribe to Golden Era Senior Health right now. If you don't, then comment below and explain why their independence isn't worth it. Because ignoring this choice is still a choice, and it's one you can't undo later.